Hi, I'm Don Bishop, Executive Editor and Associate Publisher of AGL Magazine. This is my editorial comment for the November 2020 issue. It's a challenge to write an editorial comment on October 14th that will be relevant on November 2nd, which is when the November issue of AGL Magazine is set to become available for you to see online. November 2nd is the day before the national election. So many things that seem possible now may not be possible after the election, and vice versa. Something under consideration now that may continue to be pursued, whichever way the election goes, is the possibility that the U.S. Department of Defense could own and operate 5G wireless communications networks for its domestic operations. In other words, the U.S. government would issue a contract for building separate 5G wireless networks in addition to those owned and operated by commercial carriers. The Defense Department is gathering information from possible contractors at the time of this writing, with the responses due on October 19th. Some of the questions the Defense Department is asking are, how could the Defense Department own and operate 5G networks for its domestic operations? What are the potential issues with the Defense Department owning and operating independent networks for its 5G operations? Do you foresee any national security concerns or issues with the Defense Department sharing with commercial 5G? More than 2 years ago, the Trump administration raised the idea of the government constructing a 5G wireless network to help the United States compete with China and protect against Chinese cyber attacks. Since then, the administration has taken a number of decisions and has set a number of policies intended to forestall perceived malign activities undertaken by the Chinese Communist Party in connection with 5G wireless communications networks. AGL Magazine covered those steps in its September and October issues and has another article about it by Under Secretary of State Keith Krach elsewhere in this issue. With the pending reallocation of radio frequency spectrum from military assignment to commercial use, the Defense Department has raised the subject of government-owned and operated 5G wireless communications networks once again, possibly involving dynamic spectrum sharing. With dynamic spectrum sharing, a spectrum assignment retained by the government could be shared by commercial users. It seems to be sort of a partial or on-demand reallocation instead of a wholesale reallocation. That's what Eric Schmidt, the former CEO and chairman of Google and co-founder of Google Futures, has to say about a Defense Department 5G wireless system. He spoke by video on September 17th at the 2020 Encompass show.
Where it becomes really as important is in the areas of autonomy. And 5G allows for asynchronous and very tightly coupled communication using some new technologies, which again your audience will understand in more detail. And the important point here is that you really can't build the kind of anticipated defense systems that allow for autonomy plus essentially peer-level communications and control without advances in 5G. At the moment, all of those advances are occurring primarily in China. Not good.
Schmidt said he served a 4-year term that ended in September as chairman of the Defense Innovation Board. A previous Secretary of Defense, Ash Carter, set up the board, which Schmidt said 3 subsequent Secretaries of Defense supported. He said the board was set up to figure out how to apply Silicon Valley innovation to the Defense Department. Schmidt dismissed using 5G wireless technology made by Huawei.
Huawei you don't want to use because you just don't want to use it, trust me. And at least at the infrastructure level. It's important for national security that that part of our chain be under U.S. control, U.S. laws, U.S. security, that sort of thing.
The review of said technology started during the Obama administration. The Trump administration raised the notion of Defense Department 5G wireless networks to a higher level. It seems probable that the U.S. government will continue to pursue having its own 5G wireless networks for national security purposes, regardless of the outcome of the election. What follows seems most likely to be an effort to reestablish U.S. manufacturing of critical 5G communications network components at the infrastructure level, including semiconductor equipment.